This video talk a little bit about trailing spaces and customers or your list entities, like a vendor, employees. Remember, I've been reiterating how important they are to get properly in synced because they're vital for your transaction entities, POs, and invoices. I went and made another customer, so to speak, Jane Doe, and I added a space. And you'd be surprised on how many times users are cutting and pasting information into your app, and can create havoc. It's not as bad in QuickBooks Desktop as it is online, where, and I'll show you in a second. So I'm actually, to generate a new customer in QuickBooks Desktop, I use these two to create the QBD full name, or what I'm sending across is the name element, not the full name element, but the name element. But that QuickBooks uses that to build the full name. So I made this user, added the space at the end. Let's take a look at the transaction. So you can see it adds the space in, because I don't do anything special on the code. So here is the code. Let me just tell you, let's look at the code I'm using to generate a customer. So I'm building the name node with this customer.fullname. That goes into a Rails model. Okay, you just follow. I'm just kind of building the full name method from a first and last name, okay? Now, in QuickBooks Online, what I use is this gem called strip attributes to automatically remove trailing whitespace. In Rails, there's also a method called squish that I use just on individual. In fact, I would probably use that in some more cases, in some more edge cases. This is a nice gem because you don't want any of that stuff in your app either. Like, you don't want, like trailing white spaces, and you especially don't want it on these key fields that you're trying to keep in sync, like the QBO display name, or you might be using, or excuse me, the QBD display name at column, or you might be using a user editable field. I don't think you should, to keep these two entities in sync, QuickBooks Desktop and your app. And you don't want a bunch of garbage behind there. You could also have like, things like, I'm just going to some of the test cases here. Like here's a, that'd be like a tab character, whatever gets in there from a cut and paste. So this is a good practice to do for your app and for the ability to keep in sync. Now, in the case of QuickBooks Desktop, it actually does not recognize this. It's not going to recognize that trailing whitespace. In QuickBooks Desktop Online, it does. So just so you know, you actually, in this case, don't have to worry about it. It's going to find out it's a duplicate. So we're going to get an error, name of this list element already in use. And that's another video, okay, is how do you handle an error like this? How do you handle an error that says this list element's already in use? You're going to get a lot of these. How do you respond back to it? How do I do it? That's going to be on the advanced error handling. But I wanted to go over this topic of trailing whitespace. Not as serious. Now, they could have a bunch of weird characters at the end. Keep it in mind. I'm going to be doing it. I'm doing a QuickBooks Desktop integration right now. I'm going to be adding that stuff in, even though in this case, QuickBooks Desktop case, they don't recognize that white space in there. I want to get this topic in front of you.